Hello and welcome to World Class Leaderboards on the Commodore 64, and I reviewed the Executive Edition a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd complete the series by reviewing the last game and put my name in. So it's the usual setup that the previous games had, except this time it's not professional, amateur and novice, it's professional, amateur and kids for some reason, but we'll start with amateur and we'll play 18 holes, and I'm playing on the Cypress Creek hole, and if you're eagle-eyed you might have noticed there's a bit of loading going on now. Yes, this game for the first time is a multi-load during the game. In the first game, the original leaderboard, it was a single loads with 4 courses, and you could also buy an expansion pack, which you could press. I think you press Shift and Return to load in the other set of 4 courses. And the Executive Edition, there was 2 courses you could load, one or the other, and this one comes with 4 courses. And the cassette version, at least, you just picked which one you wanted to load. And then it would load in the main game, and after that each individual hole would be a short load, and it was quite a short load. Doesn't take much more time than this version takes. So the controls are exactly the same. You can probably notice there's quite a few more trees than the Executive Edition, and let's get started. So same controls, not a bad shot really. Oh, in the rough. And you can notice this time that the rough has that sort of cross-hatched shading, which is a bit harder on the eyes actually, I think, than the sort of rough grass that was on the leaderboard, the Executive Edition. It had sort of brown, just full-on brown for the stuff that wasn't the fairway. Right, so we'll try and cover the ball round here. No, didn't mean to cover it quite that much. So yeah, the game, it does take a bit longer to render each view because there's just so many trees, and that's really the game's only sort of negative factor, and it's not really that negative. I don't find it too. Oh, hit tree. I don't find it too annoying. But if you are really impatient, it might be worth just playing the Executive Edition, which has some trees but not quite as many, and it doesn't take quite as long to draw each screen. So it's a good compromise. I think that game's a good compromise between speeds and graphics. Putting is exactly the same. I'm still equally poor at it. Yep, too hard. And now it will load in the next hole. But like I said, the cassette version almost takes them at about the same time as this version, so it's certainly no slouch. So here we go. Yeah, as you can see, the more trees there are, the longer it takes. Now there is actually a new feature in this game. If you press T, it brings up an overhead view. Now the original games, the instructions came with a little map of each course, and it had a little scale at the side, just like this. But now we can actually do it in game, which is quite a nice feature, and there's a little flashing dot to show where you are as well. It's quite a nice feature, but of course the only downside is when you come out of it, it's got to redraw the whole screen. But, yeah. I was going to review the cassette version, but I'm playing a version that was cracked by the nostalgia crack group, and it's a really good version. It's got the original game with the 4 courses, but it also has the 3 famous courses add-on expansion. It's all packed onto 2 discs. It's quite a good release. I'd definitely recommend playing that version. And you can actually go back to the main menu and press shift return, then enter a letter to load in the next course. You don't have to reload the whole game, so that's quite nicely done. I would suspect the original game probably had a similar feature on the disc version anyway, but I never played the original disc version. But I know the cassette version was just you just load in a separate version. So yeah, I did actually own this on cassette back in the day, and I did used to play it quite a lot. This is probably the leaderboard game that I've played the most, I think, and probably that goes for a lot of people. I mean, they're all great games. I mean, this probably just edges it, just because the graphics do look a bit more realistic, I guess. Having said that, I can easily, it depends what mood I'm in, but I can easily play Executive Edition or the original game. I still go back to them. There's got a lot of trees in this one. What I'll do is I'll show you there is one more new feature, and you can press P to bring up the punch shot. What this does is keep the ball really low, but it doesn't go quite as far. But it's useful for if you get stuck in the trees. I'll show you. It just keeps the ball really quite low like that. You can cheat a little bit and take a shortcut. Sometimes it's a bit of luck whether it gets the ball makes its way through the trees without hitting anything, but in this case I think it's paid off. So we're in the rough again. Just use one iron. That's probably going to land in the sand. Nope, didn't even get that far. So a rather unorthodox way of tackling this hole. Oh, oof. I think I might just have been a bit lucky there. Or have I? I'm not sure if it's in the bunker or not. No, it's just on the lip. This is a downhill slope. Well, I'm putting uphill. Just didn't give it quite enough power there. Again, putting uphill a little bit. And it's in. Onto hole 4. So like the previous games, it's just as good as a multiplayer game or a single player game. It's great. There's a water hazard now. You can press T to get a good view of the map. So yeah, the graphics are just as good as the previous games. They maybe look a little bit more realistic, just because of the choice of colours. The sound effects are just exactly the same, they haven't changed them again. It might be nice to have them slightly better, but I can't complain that they are good sound effects. And the gameplay, yep, just as good as the previous games. So, as long as you don't mind the small delay while it draws all the trees, this is definitely the one to play, I think. So I'll give this a 9.5 out of 10. So it just edges it a little bit over the previous games, which I think I gave 9 to both of them. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10 for world class leaderboard. An excellent not just an excellent sports game on a 64, but just an excellent game on the C64. One of the best games you can get on it, I think. Right, 9.5 out of 10, and see you in the next video.